All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'd like to invite everybody to please take a seat. It is so good to see everyone. It's been a while. We've been through the holidays. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday season and a happy new year. We are getting started. We are kicking off 2024 the right way in District 4, right? So we have lots of great information. I want to thank you all so much for coming out. I know we all thought it was going to rain today. and so we got a little lucky and the sun came out, so I am very happy that you guys didn't have to come in here in the rain. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, my council members, so the mayor and the council members, so we have the mayor and the council member. They're a little bit under the weather right now, unfortunately, so please keep them in prayer. And then two of the other council members had other previous events. So unfortunately, they're not able to join us, but I do want to give a shout out to my colleagues here, Mayor James T. Butts, Alex Padilla, District 2, Gloria Gray, District 1, Eloy Morales, District 3, and myself. It is a wonderful an amazing opportunity to work with these brilliant people. All of us are working for the greater good of the city of Inglewood and for the residents. And I know sometimes it may not feel like it or seem like it, but we're always working for the best interests of our residents. We have you guys at the forefront of everything we do. And I want you all to know that from the bottom of our heart to yours, that we are here working for you and for nobody else, okay? So please remember that. Okay, so next up, I wanted to give some District 4 updates. Are we going to city clerk? Okay. The city clerk. Okay, we changed the lineup. So right now we're going to go to our city clerk. So I'm going to have her come up. Our city clerk, Miss Aisha Thompson. If we could give her a hand. She is the other elected official in our house on the dais, and I think sometimes everybody thinks about the mayor and the council members, but she is our other elected official. She also is working very hard for you. She handles all of our city contracts. Did you guys know that? Did you know that the city clerk handles the city of Inglewood's contracts and makes sure all of our deals are properly signed, sealed, and delivered? That's what her staff does. And so we came in together in 2020 and we kind of both hit the ground running. I feel delighted and blessed to be able to work alongside her. She's very knowledgeable. And so I invited her here not only to acknowledge her as our city clerk for the city of Inglewood, but also I asked her to provide some updates. Can anybody tell me what big event is happening next month? Anybody, somebody. There we go, they know it. So we got the primary election coming up. So for the city of Inglewood, that's what she handles for our city. So she's going to give you an update on the election process for the primary so that everybody knows exactly what to do and how to do it as far as being able to cast your votes without any problem. So I'm gonna hand it off to our city clerk. Okay.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Faulk. I don't want this right now. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Councilwoman Faulk, for the invitation. I'm just standing to give greetings. I'm going to come back because there is someone ahead of me, so I'm going to, wait my turn. But again, I'm Aisha Thompson. I'm your Inglewood City Clerk. I'm excited to be here and thankful that our Councilwoman had invited me here this evening. Looking forward to coming back to speak with everyone, okay? Thank you so much, Councilwoman. Thank you.
All right, and so next up, I want to acknowledge some very important people in the House. First, before I get to our commissioners, I want to acknowledge our city manager. So he is here. If he could come on up. Mark Weinberg. He is our acting city manager. As you all know, Artie Fields retired, so this is our acting city manager, and I don't know if you knew that, so I asked him to come and say a few words so everybody can know who he is and what he's doing right now in this role. So,
thank you very much, Councilwoman. It's my pleasure to be here this evening, as opposed to being here last night, when I think maybe half of us would have been here, but thanks so much for having me. First of all, let's have a round of applause for Artie Fields, who spent 12 years in the city manager's seat. A lot of people are not aware of the fact that that city managers are a fairly short-lived career. The average in California is about 4 years for your tenure. So he tripled that, and he did a great job, and I want to pay homage to him for that great job. A lot of folks don't realize what a city manager does. I always wish that I could come up here in a police chief's uniform or a fire chief's uniform, because you would know immediately what I do. But as I explained once or twice to high schoolers when I showed up for career day, that I'm a bureaucrat, which is odd because I kind of disdain bureaucracy. And I say, how many people know what a bureaucrat is? And not a hand in the room goes up. And I say, well, I'm the fellow that brings you long lines and forms, and I've yet to get a standing ovation. I'm puzzled by that. But the city manager, of course, takes his direction from the mayor and city council, and his duty is to provide day-to-day oversight to the operations of the city. And so that's kind of what we do. And just to give you a little bit of background on myself, I'm not particularly new to the city. I actually started coming into the city in the probably in the 60s. There might be a couple of other white hairs here in the room. Does anybody remember there was a bakery that was operated by my cousin? So I got to give him a shout out. He's retired like 30 years ago. But it was Mr. Pastry at the northeast corner of Imperial and Crenshaw, Mr. Pastry. I don't know if any of you were ever there. And fun fact about my cousin is that he operated that bakery in Inglewood for about 35 years, and only once in his lifetime was he ever a victim of crime. He was proned out at the short end of a shotgun when he was taking a walk in front of his home after Thanksgiving in Beverly Hills. And I always kidded him. I said, Andy, you need to come live in the city of Inglewood where you operate your bakery, because he never had a problem at all here, never was a victim of crime. But the mayor and I go back to the mid-'70s, Mayor James Butson and myself. We started working in the police department at that time. And this is my 5th appointment as a city manager. It's an interim position. It's my 3rd time back in the seat here in the city of Inglewood. I was here in 2000. I was here in 2010. And I'm here in 2024. And I'm being told to wrap it up. Oh, 4 times now. So at any rate, I'd say give me a call if you need to, but I think you're going to call your councilwoman, and she's going to give me a call. And I've dealt with dozens of council members over the years, and I've worked for about 7 or 8 mayors. And I can tell you that you don't have a better or harder working representative for your district than anybody I've ever met, because she's like on my desk like daily, pounding and saying, we got to have this in our district. And so I applaud you for that, and I thank you very much, and look forward to seeing you folks, and have a great evening.
Thank you. All right. I just wanted to make sure everybody kind of knows who our acting city manager is. Okay, and so next up, we're going to go to the District 4 updates. And can we go to the next? Oh, I'm sorry, commissioners, sorry. I want to acknowledge our commissioners in the House. Commissioners for District 4, please stand up. There we go. Malcolm, can you take the microphone around? I'd love for them to just say their name and what commission or board they're on. We're going to grab another microphone really quick.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rita Burnett. I'm on the Inglewood Aviation Commission. Hello, I'm Cheryl Shaw Williams. I'm on the Planning Commission.
My name is Lois Hale, and I'm on the Parking and Traffic Commission.
Barbara Hibbler, Chairperson from Parking and Trafficking.
We have one more?
Dorothy Cole, District 4, over 30 years here in Inglewood.
Dolly Morrison, Commissioner for Naming and Facilities or Streets.
Cheryl Stans McCullen, Housing Commission.
There we go. All right, I believe that's everyone. Can we please give a round of applause for these hardworking commissioners, board members? They're like our right hand in the city. So they actually run the different divisions for us, like the Planning Commission. They review the documents, they approve them or send them up for review by the mayor, the council members. And so they perform a very important function here in the city of Inglewood. And they're not paid. They do this for free. And so we like to acknowledge them at every public meeting just because they work so hard for the city, just like we do. So thank you again, commissioners, for being here, and thank you for your dedication to the city. All right. Now we will get to our District 4 updates. Okay, so we have a lot of important, exciting events happening this year in 2024. When I came in 2020, I had 2021 and I was trying to get my rhythm and figure out what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. And so it took me a little while to get my place in the city and figure out how I can be of impact to our residents. And so I feel like I found my niche here. And so I wanted to talk to you about some important events that we have coming up. So on May 4th, we have the Women Rock Empowerment Summit. Can we hear it for the women? Men, can we give it up for the women? And that's going to be very exciting. We have scheduled, Holly Mitchell is scheduled. We also have a celebrity that's scheduled. So we have important information. We're going to do financial planning. We're going to do some health workshop. So it's lots of great educational information for our women. In June, I have my Let's Get Healthy series. So I have in the past had about 3 classes every summer, and I invite the whole community to come out. We do line dancing, we do salsa, we just have a good time, and we're doing it in the name of getting healthy. And so that's what I invite everybody to do, is to come out and get healthy with me. This year, we're adding more classes to that because it was so successful last year and everybody enjoyed it. They said they want to do it all summer long. So we're going to get healthy this summer. So make sure you come out. When you get that invite, come out and join me. Also in June, on June 29th, I want to know, last year, who came to the Inglewood Town Hall? I mean, not the Town Hall, I'm sorry. The City of Inglewood Music Fest. Who came to that? Did y'all have a good time? It is coming back this year, y'all. We're doing it again. So I'm looking forward to that. City of Inglewood Music Fest is happening at Darby Park. So we have lots of great activities planned for District 4. We're going to have a ball this year, but we're going to have an impactful year. We're going to get healthy. We're going to make sure that we collaborate. We're going to engage our women. We're going to engage our kids. We're going to make an impact for some of our disadvantaged folks at the holiday season. So lots of great stuff here. I look forward to working with you all. Please reach out to my office with Malcolm if there's anything you see that any assistance assistance that you can provide our office. We're always looking for donations, contributions, or even help. You know, volunteers. So whatever you can do for us, we will really appreciate it. So we do have the flyers. Go back to the Women Rock. The Women Rock, that's going to be the save the date. I'll make sure that everybody gets that. And then the next flyer is for the Music of Inglewood, the City of Inglewood Music Fest. So you will get that flyer as well if you have not received it already. So lots of great stuff coming your way in 2024. Get ready, y'all. I want to have a good time this year. I know you guys want to have a good time, and you guys all want to work with me. I really enjoy getting to know all the residents, so let's do that together. Let's have an impactful year in 2024, okay? With that said, next up, we have our public safety update. And so with us planning and having events and doing all kinds of activities, I also need to make sure that we understand what's happening in our city. I get calls from you guys about what's happening, traffic or ticketing or whatever it may be. So I wanted to make sure that you guys understand what's happening with our public safety and you get that update. So I am going to ask Lieutenant Hand and our community liaison for the Inglewood Police Department, Cinder Eller, to come on up. They're going to provide a public safety update for District 4. Give them a hand, please.
Nice to meet you. Hello. Well, I'm not Jeffrey Meeks. He's now in Detective Bureau, so he'll be up there. Great man. So I'm the new lieutenant in the area for Beat 4. My name is Lieutenant Hand. I've been with the department for this department for 21 years. Been in law enforcement for 28 years. So I'm newly promoted lieutenant, and give you some information of what is possibly going on that you guys have concerns on. I'll take some questions, but I'll give you some updates of just the past 30 days. We've in the Beat 4 area, which is, if you're not sure, the Beat 4, basically it's her district, but it's everything, you know, south of Century, Prairie, east. We've had 2 takeovers with the car takeovers. If you see the 2 car takeovers where you'll see the kids take their cars, do spin outs in the streets, and annoys us all, that happens with a flash mob, which they'll go to on the internet and, hey, let's all go to hit this location. They hit Los Angeles a lot. They've been a lot more reluctant to hit us because we will go out in force. If you see one unit sitting back and you're like, why is that one unit not doing anything? Because of the flash mobs, we won't go in there with 2 units or 3. We'll go in there with 15. So we'll wait a second. Then what we do is we shut off all the streets so they can't get away. So that way we could find them. Because once we start taking their cars, they learn, I won't do it in Inglewood. So shooing them away, haha, we win. When we take their vehicles, we win. So we're trying to win as taxpayers and make sure that you guys get what you're paid for. So if you see one unit, it's just we're waiting for other units to get there in time so we can apprehend them. Shooing them away, it's like swatting a fly. They'll just go to another intersection, if that makes sense. But we've only had 2 calls for that lately, and so it's gotten better and better. But we worked with other agencies with Hawthorne and El Segundo. They've come in and show some of their tactics they use, but it's gotten less and less for us. We did have, since I've been watch commander, we did have 5 arrests on this, and we've taken about 4 cars. A couple others were unrelated, but for just car clubbing, just observing car clubbers, you can get arrested for that. So we've been taking them into custody, and that way they're all, again, none from Inglewood. They're all from other areas coming to Inglewood and to participate. So they're learning, okay, we're not going to play in Inglewood. As far as, we call them 459s, which are burglaries to your vehicles. Obviously, you know about the issues that come with your catalytic converters. They're trying to take the catalytic converters. There's no regulation of that. There's no VIN number or number that we can attach to your particular catalytic converter taken, and we can't give it back to you. There's no way there's no registry of that. So they cut them off, sell them at the local shops, and then the shops will say, oh, you need a catalytic converter? Well, we got one for sale, half price, how's that? So that market we get attached to, we go to the auto shops and we start doing, working with the California Bureau of Automotive that helps us get some codes that we could utilize against these businesses. And so we're doing that to combat it. Also, extra patrol in the area looking for people. They slide underneath your car as fast as they can at night. Any of your cars that are left at night, they'll put up on jacks. They'll cut it with a Sawzall in the back of their car, and then off they go. They're so brazen, they'll do it at the target. Again, when you see our repeated patrols in that area, that's some things we look for. It's actually gone down because of, I think mostly it's gone down as our extra patrol, as well as the people that they're selling them to, the car shops, can't buy them because the state's cutting down on that. So we call that, if you ever hear us say something like a 459, it's the penal code for burglary section of vehicles. Residential 459s, which is with a residential burglary, we've only had 2, and this is in the past 30 days. These are 2 reports that I've had. That's actually low for the city. It's pretty good. So we're getting better on that one. And then the shootings, we've had one report of a shooting, and it turned out not to be a shooting, it was firecrackers. So in this area, you've got a lot of building going on. I am also aware of things that you can't really put a statistic on, the speeding up and down. 102nd, 104th, you start getting the kids again. That's the car clippers that we're going after. I know the parking gets tough, and these guys start flying down the streets because of all the construction. They'll divert from the main highways, go down your streets as fast as they possibly can. I would say be as patient as we possibly can because they are being diverted because of the construction. Once the construction is done, we'll have more ability to update our direction of travels to get them out of your neighborhoods and onto the busier highways. As far as the department, most departments have it's not just your department of Inglewood, all departments are having this, is trying to recruit and get you the top quality police officers. Now your city council's done a fantastic job of incentivizing that. And the way we do that is we're trying to get them away from Beverly Hills, we're trying to get them from Orange County, we're trying to get them from going to San Bernardino. Because of the cost of living of homes, they move to San Bernardino, the officers end up going to San Bernardino or to Riverside. So it's tough to keep them here because they are commuting here. But your city is doing the best they can to get the latest, greatest long-term police officers. Are going to be here from 22 years old all the way to retirement. And that's what we want. They'll know the city back and forth. You'll know the officers. So the city council is doing a fantastic, doing that, incentivizing to get police officers over here. Because nationwide, getting officers here is a tough job. And everybody is fighting for the top recruits. But your city has actually made it, our city has made it very viable. Now you got Los Angeles police officers. Big Los Angeles, they want to come here. So that's great. And then we work with Los Angeles County at SoFi. We work with Hawthorne at SoFi Stadium for overtime because we obviously can't field thousands of officers for our stadium events. We work with these other agencies, and they're constantly asking, hey, what are you guys making? Hey, how's it working in Inglewood? You guys always have a smile on your face. Things are going great. So that's just a great recruiting tool because to work here is fantastic. I talk to a lot of guys here, and I see the guys go to other agencies, and we tell them this is a fantastic opportunity to see what's happening. I mean, you've seen it with your income of your homes going up and the price of properties going up. This is a phenomenal place to be. It's also a phenomenal place to work. So we're getting a lot of great applicants, and the city is definitely looking up. Things are going really well. With that, ma'am, you could cover for what I can't? Okay. This is Ms. Eller. Thank you guys very much for your time. If you have any questions, anything offhand before I give it to Ms. Eller?
Well, we'll let her present, and then they'll be able to ask questions for both.
I can't get off the hook yet, huh?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
All right. Oh, right. You gonna talk about that anymore, Joe?
You can really quick, buddy.
The kids selling candy. We have them at SoFi Stadium. We have them at the Forum. Well, apparently they've been coming down to Target, and they'll say, "Hey, we're selling it for our local Pop Warner football team." I used to coach Pop Warner football. That's not what these kids are doing. So they're potential robbery. And remember, we're talking about 459 to vehicles, burglaring to vehicles. They're breaking into your cars. Up north, they actually lit 2 cars on fire. The kids are not in school. They're not listening what's going on. It's a juvenile problem, but now they've been committed robberies. So we're working on that to try and keep these kids into custody where they're not out there vandalizing and stealing your property and damaging your property when they should be, learning in school. So we're doing the best we can to try and combat that, but it's come from 1 or 2 kids to a pretty lucrative little operation with these young men. So.
And it just piggybacked out with Target. Target is going to come in. I talked to Councilwoman. Target is going to come in and go into the area to Darby-Dixon and into Target, and they're going to hire our community kids. Although we don't think that the kids that are doing the robberies at Target are coming from the city of Inglewood, outside of the city of Inglewood, but it is to empower the community to come and work for Target. So they're going to set up with Councilwoman inside Darby-Dixon, literally inside, and go door to door and hire our youth. So I think that's a good opportunity for us, and that's beautiful. I've been working with Target with that, so it should be, matter of fact, on Saturday at the event on Saturday, Target will be there, and they will be passing out applications. Good evening, everybody. I'm Cinder Eller. I'm the Community Affairs Liaison and your Homeless Liaison. I have been with the Inglewood Police Department for 29 years. In 10 months, it'll be 30. So those hash marks out there, I'll add 2 more. That's 5, 10, 15, 20. Mark, I'm on your bumper. And so I'm so excited. I am a community kid. I grew up in your area. That was my district. I grew up off 108th and Crenshaw, next door to Winchell's Donut, 3133, 108th Street. So this community is really, it's close to my heart. It's dear to my heart. And I told Councilwoman Faulk that when she first got there. I said, let's go. I want to show you everything about the community because this is my community. Every school, elementary, my childhood to adulthood was right there where you guys are. So I love it, and I'm here to help you guys. Basically, I know you guys want to talk about the homelessness. I hate that I'm now homeless only, but we did have our homeless count the second week in January. There are no numbers yet. We don't have any numbers, but it was nationwide. I can say this, that we had the most out of all of South Bay, from Palos Verdes, everything in between, all the way down to Inglewood, which all the cities, Gardena, Lawndale, Torrance, Redondo Beach, Hawthorne, all the little cities in between, they did not have enough people to come out and count. We had more than enough. They love coming to Inglewood. It's not because they feel like we have a lot of homeless. It's just because we take really good care of our people that go out and count. So we had over 65 people. So each one of our tracts, our census tracts, were counted. And I can say that the response we got back is that our streets are clean. Thank you, Public Works, whoever's here. Our streets are being cleaned. We're taking care of it. We're more receptive to the calls that you guys are calling about. I'm trying to get out there as much as I can. I'm actually the only person dealing with the homeless right now. And our chief is going to bring our team back. It was the MET team. You guys remember that. We had the mental evaluation team. It's coming back soon. But what we have done is talk to all the officers and empowered them and educated them so they can go out with me. It doesn't have to be just one officer. It's everybody is, if I call them, they'll go out to make sure that everything is okay. I can't say that it's clean. I can't say that the homeless are gone. I'm not going to say that, but I am saying that we are here and it's getting better. It's getting better. Now, the unfortunate thing is that we do have Centinela Hospital here. Not the unfortunate, it's fortunate we have the hospital, but the unfortunate thing is that a lot of times the surrounding areas, the cities, always bring in their homeless or their sick and shut in to Inglewood because that's the local hospital. With that, if they come in with mental illness or if they're homeless, once they're taken care of, unfortunately, they are let out and they're in our community. They're not taken back to where they were picked up from. Sometimes they may Uber them, so that's where we're getting a lot of mentally ill. If you see them walking around, it's mainly because of the hospital and they're coming in. We have had a few people that said they were coming in from downtown Los Angeles and they said they love our parks. And so they came in because our parks are clean, because we're taking care of people. But unfortunately, it's nothing we can do. And I know you guys hear this all the time, that homelessness is not a crime. It's not. It's an illness, it's a sickness, and we're trying to take care of everybody that we can. But unfortunately, there's no shelters at this time, local shelters. We have winter shelters, but the winter shelters are closed after May. And so they're from November to May, and they're not local. So a lot of people don't want to leave their area to go in. What I do ask you guys, if you see someone that is homeless, everybody should know me by now and know my number. If you don't, I gave you a form, community resource. Everybody have this. I can be contacted My number and everything is on this form. Also, which is called Community Resources, and we also have another one. Oh, how to call the police and what to call. How to call and what to say when you call. So a lot of times people get really uncomfortable when you call the police department, non-emergency or emergency, and the dispatcher might make you uncomfortable because they're asking you questions. What do they look like? Who are they? Which way did they go? You know, are they black, white, or Hispanic? I was a dispatcher, so I know that the questions they give you can be intrusive. You get nervous. And so this helps you. It's a guide. It tells you exactly what to say, how to say it, and everything. If you don't understand what the dispatcher is saying, just ask her to repeat it. But this helps me. This helps the officers when they go out. If they see something, if you see something, say something. That's the truth. If you see something, say something. And I was telling Councilwoman Faulk that you guys besides District 3, District 1, you guys are a strong, strong neighborhood watch. Your community is beautiful over here. And so you guys make a lot of phone calls. And look at who's here. Look at this. She always has a full house. So that says you guys care about your community. But this is something to help you help us. Okay? This and this form right here. Please take it. It's in the front. Now we can take any questions. My name is Cinder Eller, and my phone number is 310-412-8771. I'm sorry. That's non-emergency dispatch. My phone number is 310-412-5530. That's community affairs. 5530, 5530. I work Monday through Thursday, 8 to 6. I was your neighbor? Where? On 108th Street? You remember me? Oh, wow. Hi. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. I was never bad. I couldn't make it at the police department. My background check. Yes, ma'am. Uh-huh. Oh.
That we can capture your questions.
Okay, you mentioned that there's nothing you can do about the homeless in the park, but I go to Southgate Park. It's a big park. It's really nice and clean. And I asked, how do you guys keep it clean? There's no homeless at all. And they said that the city takes care of it. I don't know how, really.
Okay, to respond to that, no, I did not say that we can't do anything about them in the park. I said homeless is not a crime, not in the park. Yes, we do deal with the homeless that are in our parks. Our officers go out daily. Now, what you can do as homeless, anybody can be in the park until it's dusk till dawn. So after dawn, which is like 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock for us, they cannot set up an encampment. So if they set up an encampment, then we go out, the officers would go out at night and make them take the encampment down. Lately, unfortunately, we have been arresting a few people because we had a homeless person that was cutting down the trees in Edward Vincent Park. So we did go over there and we arrested the gentleman. Unfortunately, yes, he was cited. He was booked and cited and released, but he was arrested. And if he doesn't go back to court, it will be a warrant. So we are going out now. We're enforcing the rules of the park. Yes, we are, ma'am.
That's it.
No other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Can we give them a round of applause again? Thank you so much. And I guess you all realize that Lieutenant Hands is different than Lieutenant Meeks. So he wasn't able to be here tonight either, so he's filled in. And thank you so much, Lieutenant. I appreciate you. Great job. All right. Well, let's welcome him to District 4. All right. All right. Now, next up, we have the city clerk is coming back again. She's going to give the election update. Our other elected official. So I'm going to invite her up here now to talk about the primary election coming up, so you kind of have all that information. It's coming up next month, pretty quick. So with that said, here we go.
Thank you again, Councilwoman Faulk. Let's give it up for Councilwoman Faulk. Isn't she doing a fantastic job in our community? All right, I've invited my staff to come up. I've given the greetings to our councilwoman, want to give greetings to our Inglewood residents and our commissioners. It's always a great thing to be in front of our residents, and get a chance and an opportunity to give an update, so I'm thankful. But before I get started with my presentation, I would be remiss if I did not introduce the staff that makes everything happen. I don't do nothing. I just, go to sleep at night and wake up in the morning. But I'm just so thankful and grateful for the staff that I have behind me. And so without further ado, I would like to first start off with my Deputy City Clerk, Angela Allen. They can't see, you gotta still go. My Management Assistant, Christina Padilla. Christine, I'm nervous. I have my Staff Assistant, Destiny Wesley. So when you see all those social media posts and all that stuff, that's Destiny and that's Angela, making sure you guys stay in tune and informed. And then last but not least, I have Cherie Sutton, my other staff assistant. Thank you ladies so much for your hard work. I appreciate you guys. Okay, so like Cinder and like our acting city manager mentioned, their years of public service, well, I think I got a little bit on them. I got 25 years of public service in the city of Inglewood. How about that? And I'm 27 years old. No, but I have 25 years of service serving the Inglewood residents. I have 6 years in the California State Assembly under the great leadership of Jerome E. Horton. I have 15 years serving in the city clerk's office under Yvonne Horton. I served 15 years there. And then before becoming elected 3.5 years ago, I was also the deputy city clerk. And my goals within the department are to continue to build and create relationships with our Inglewood residents, to allow constant communication. I have an open door policy. I don't have a closed door policy. You can call me. I'm always available. I assist my colleagues, like Councilwoman Faulk says. The council, they adopt, they approve, but I'm the last one to look at it and the last one to put my name to it. So I'll sign off on everything after everything has been approved and all that good stuff. And then also I serve as the executive secretary to all of the boards and commissioners. So, and of course I'm an elected election official, but that's something I wanted to mention is that, like, Councilwoman Faulk introduced her boards and commissioners. That's something that I oversee to make sure that the rules, Robert's Rules of Order is followed, making sure that our agendas when the commissioners make sure they're posting them on time. So those are the kinds of things that I do that people don't really get to see. So that's what I really wanted to tell you guys, okay? Now we're going to move on to our PowerPoint. There's a little bit of an introduction about who I am. I'm going to go back just a little bit. Please take me back to the last slide. I'm just going to briefly mention, with my service, my civil service employee as a city of Inglewood. So basically, I've been in the city of Inglewood for 25 years. That's really what that's saying. I oversee, I have experience in the municipal elections, Robert Rules of Order, the Political Reform Act. I swear in the elected officials, police officers. I can marry anybody, but don't tell nobody because I don't want to marry nobody tomorrow. But I am allowed to marry. If someone were to ask me, yes, I can marry people. I work closely with our state legislators. I record. So my office is the first line of defense of everything. So when the city gets a subpoena or somebody wants to sue the city, my office is the first one to see that. And so you have to make sure that you know what you're doing when you get this kind of stuff. You can't just sit there and say, oh, we got a subpoena and we're going to get this routed to such and such. No. I have to protect the city. I have to protect people. I have to be neutral in everything that I'm doing. So given that I am the first line of defense to the city of Inglewood, I have to make sure that my staff, which they're on it, also knows that we can't just sit out here and disseminate certain things to certain people, because we have to be private. We have to make sure that we're protecting our city as a whole, because we don't want to get sued. We get a lawsuit and then y'all gonna look at me like, well, what the city clerk do? Messed up. So I have to be on that kind of stuff. Drafting the minutes for the agenda, the Brown Act, the open meeting laws, as well as office management. So those are a few things that I do as the city clerk. Again, I oversee the entire operation of the city clerk's office, and again, under the great help with my staff, I just make sure that we are on top of what we are supposed to do for the city. Now we can move on to the next slide. And the next slide talks about the duties of the city clerk's office, things that we do in-house. We handle all resolutions and ordinances, subpoenas and summonses. We receive all subpoenas and all summonses. What is that? We want to sue the city. We want somebody to appear in court. That's what the subpoena summonses are. We have to make sure that we know what is what. We don't accept for everybody. We have to make sure that we follow the guidelines. We have to, again, protect the city, okay? Public records. We handle all public records requests. And when I tell you our office is swamped with public records requests, we're swamped. But it's okay. That's a good thing, because that means that our city is definitely on the rise. There are so many people wanting to come into our city, and they want to find out what is this development? What can we do with this property? Who's selling this house? So it's a great thing that we're inundated with public records requests, but I'm letting you know our office is swamped with public records requests, and that's because we have such a rising community, a rising city, and so I'm thankful for that. Claims. What are claims? That's if you fall and you trip, or you got a pothole. That's something that my office handles as well. You come in, you fill out a claim. Everybody fuss at me when they get the letter in the mail of denial. They call me and say, Aisha, you didn't deny my claim. I just signed the letter. That's all I did. I reviewed what happened, and then I have to allow the process to take its course, okay? So don't shoot the messenger. I promise it's not that bad. We're going to go to the next slide. Voter registration. Here we are, voter registration. It is my duty. Wow, she better walk. Look at that walk. Voter registration. That is something that is very, very important within the city clerk's office, because, as you know, law allows anyone 16 years or older to register to vote. 16 years old, I can register. At the age of 18, I'm automatically registered, and I'm ready to receive my ballot and vote. Also, I have for 2 years now, I've been in office for three and a half years, but for 2 years, I have put on a National Voter Registration Day event. And what that is that's getting people to come hear from our Secretary of State, hear from our county assessor's office, hear from our county registrar recorder's office. I'm bringing these key people in so that you guys can ask these questions and find out any information that you may have, any questions that you may have, and get the information from these people. And so voter registration, it's very important. As you know, on March the 5th is our presidential primary election. I'm going to talk about that in the next slide, but not just yet. So let me stop. And then our bids. Let me talk about our bids. What are bids? Bids are when contractors want to come into our city and they want to bid on projects. They want to say, hey, I want to take a stab at building this stadium, or building or making sure sound installation is properly done. So bids come through my office as well. You know, we go through the purchasing department, purchasing contacts my office, but the bid process comes through my office, okay? Now let's talk about the March 5th primary election. We're going to go to the... Okay, so I got 2 minutes. I got you. Yes, ma'am. Okay, our vote by mail ballots. They have already been mailed out. We have them already in the mail. On Saturday, the 24th, our 11-day voting center will open. So if you've already filled out your ballots or if you want to go and vote, we can do that starting on Saturday. We have Rogers Park as a 11-day voting center. You can go there and drop off your ballot. You can go there and also vote if you choose to do so. So again, February the 24th, our voting centers open. On election day, our voting centers will still be open, but the voting centers open at 10 o'clock a.m. and close at 7 o'clock p.m. On election day, the polling places, they open at 7 o'clock a.m. and they close at 8 o'clock p.m. So nothing has changed about about that. Understand that this is our presidential primary election. What does that mean? That means that if you're registered as a Democrat, you're going to vote Democrat in March. If you're registered as a Republican, you're going to vote Republican in March. Come November is when you're eligible to vote for whomever you want to vote for, okay? As well as a few propositions. And then lastly, we have our polling locations. It's on your last page there, the last slide. It will tell you where your polling locations are. I mentioned that we were trying to get Inglewood City Hall. The county is working hard to make sure that November that happens. So Inglewood High School will be a great location if you're looking for space and some room so you won't feel so cluttered. Inglewood High School is available for you to go and vote. Also, Sip and Sonder, have you guys heard of them? They're on Market Street. They are a mobile vote center, meaning that you can go there, enjoy coffee, and you can vote because they have a mobile vote center right there as well. So just FYI, if you don't feel comfortable with going to our polling locations, Sip and Sonder right there on Market Street across from the Inglewood Swap Meet has a mobile vote center program, okay? Thank you guys so much. If you have any questions, you can see me in the back. I'm not leaving right away, so you can see me in the back. And again, thank you, Councilwoman Faulk, for allowing me to speak to the residents. Thank you.
You got everything? Oh, no, that one's fine. Yep, thank you. All right, please give our city clerk a hand. All right, lots of great information, a lot going on. This is a big presidential election year. That's what we see on our TV all day long. So I thought that it would be important to provide that primary voting information to you. Next up, we have our Public Works Director, also our Assistant City Manager. He has a couple of hats that he wears. Mr. Lewis Atwell, he is going to give us updates on not only what's happening in District 4 regarding our streets and lights and all of that other information, but then also from our last town hall, there were some questions and concerns that a lot of you expressed. And so he's going to give you updates on some of those questions and concerns that you had as well. So I asked him to follow up on that and let's update our community on those, as well as what we're working on now in 2024. So we got some great stuff coming. Lewis Atwell.
Wow, Madam City Clerk, you're a tough act to follow. Let me tell you, I don't have that kind of energy. I do have energy. I've been around for 33 years in public service. I used to work for the City of Los Angeles, LA Water and Power, City of Downey, and also now City of Inglewood for 12 years. So the Public Works Department, I think most of you know what the Public Works Department does. You pretty much, as soon as you walk out your front door, you see the sidewalk, you see the streets, you see the police cars. We actually work on the police cars. You see the garbage trucks, you see the street sweeper. All of that falls under Public Works. So we try our best to make the streets look good. I know it's tough because we do have budgets that we live by, but let me tell you, in the last 12 years, actually, around that time. We've done double what they've done in the previous 20 years. So the city councilwoman, your mayor and council, they've been appropriating quite a bit of money to the Public Works Department. Next slide, please. So one of the great things that just completed in the councilwoman's district over at Darby-Dixon, if there's anybody from the Darby-Dixon area, we just constructed 2 new parking lots. We added essentially 32 parking spaces. That's a much needed area. Most of the people in that area work very hard. They use their cars, their trucks to get to and from work, and so we were able to add additional parking spaces in that area. We just finished the parking lots. It also includes Americans with Disabilities Act improvements and also solar lighting to make it safe. The project cost about $650,000 and began in October, and it was completed in December. The only thing missing are the lights. Those take a little bit longer, but we didn't want to wait for the lights to not open up the parking lot. So it is a substantially complete project. Next slide, please. So you do have a new District 4 community room. It's not as big as this, but it can host smaller venues. We improved the ceiling, flooring, and walls. If you take a look at the picture, that is an accent wall. It's a reclaimed wood accent wall, so it adds a lot of depth and flavor to the room, and that was something that was picked out by the councilwoman. It has 2 new television monitors, so if you want to see, I don't know, the presidential election in there, you can watch it on the walls. There was asbestos in that room. We abated the asbestos. And we added a new storage room, and there's furniture as well, so you have a place to sit down. And that is at Imperial and Crenshaw in the building, the tall building that's over there.
Yes, it's not open yet.
Right. Well, it's the ICOP Center. Yeah. That doesn't look like the ICOP Center if you've been in there before. It was just a plain room with nothing else, and now it's a nice place to meet. So that project is substantially complete. The construction is complete. The only thing that needs to be added is Wi-Fi, and and cable. That's pretty much it.
You know what, Louis, let me make sure we're clear on that piece. So, really quick, residents, so we do have the ICOP Center in District 4 that a lot of you guys have been in already and meeting at. So this is in the Citibank building. And so on the 5th floor, we have a new community room. It's almost done, and so we're going to release it very soon, and we're going to allow our community members, the block clubs, to meet in that community room for no charge. And so now you'll have a nice, clean, safe place to meet. You'll just have to make a reservation, and then we will be able to allow all of our residents to utilize that new community space. So look for that coming very soon, but that's going to be another great opportunity and meeting space for District 4.
I'm sorry? I don't know if there's a school there.
I don't know if there's a school. It's a bank building.
Yeah, and there's medical offices in there, and probably tax preparers and. Okay. 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 Thank you. Go ahead. I believe it is. I've been there once. Okay. Okay. Yeah. According to the councilwoman, there'll be more information coming. Next slide, please. So this is the project that we've pretty much all been waiting for. It's the Streets and Alleys project. We actually come to the district and hit it pretty hard about once every 2 years. What we do there is we do the residential streets and alleys, primarily constructing new sidewalk, curb, gutter, some driveway improvements as well, not on private property, but the driveway approaches. We add ADA ramps on the curbs, the curb returns, and we slurry seal and grind and overlay the streets. The construction started this year. Last time when I spoke, I said this year, which was actually last year, but it was this fiscal year. It's kind of confusing because the city's not on a calendar year or fiscal year. Our fiscal year starts October 1. And so we started in January. Of course, winter's a tough time to start construction, let me tell you. But the way we look at it is, it's better to start when we can than later on. So we're working on it. It's a little bit delayed because of the rains. We've had one of the rainiest seasons. And let me tell you, we're very fortunate. This city has not suffered very much through these rains, whereas other areas, especially in the hillsides, we have. The estimated construction cost is nearly $2 million for this district, and we should be finished by this summer. And so next slide will show you the streets that we're working on. It's probably too small to see, but it's 104th Street from Crenshaw to Van Ness, and also 108th with the same boundaries. 8th Place between 104th and 108th. 8th Avenue between Hardy Street and Century Boulevard. 1st Avenue between 104th and 108th Street. 2nd Avenue between 104th Street and 108th Street. 3rd Avenue, same between 104th and 108th. And same with 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th Street. So we try to hit that entire area and really improve it. And by doing it that way, we get economies of scale because the contractor doesn't have to bounce around. So you actually get better bids by focusing in certain areas. I know Dorothy's wondering, by the way, Dorothy brought it up last time, all right? Yeah, it's on there. I actually wrote your name right next to it, Dorothy. That's right, the alley. It's the last one on the list. And also Doty Avenue between 111th and 107th Street. Next slide, please. So Crenshaw Boulevard, I talked about this last time. This is a great, great project. It's really one of our last streets that needs to be completely done. Imperial was finished a few years ago. It needs landscaping. I think that's something that we'll come back and do. Same with La Brea. But Crenshaw's going to look great. We worked very closely with the councilwoman to get, and I don't have the slide with the pictures that I had last time, but there's going to be palm trees, there's going to be new vegetation, and this is in between, essentially between the freeway, which is the city boundary along Crenshaw, up to Century. That's phase one. As you proceed further north, phase two comes in, and that'll take you all the way up to the northern city boundary. So we're going to be constructing new pavement rehabilitation, ADA, very important. The Disabilities Act, signing and striping, traffic signal improvements. I know a major street that was brought up last time was 111th and Thoreau, which is an offset street and sometimes very difficult to make your left turn. That's going to have a new intersection with new lighting, striping, and it should improve that intersection. If that does not work, what we'll do is we will split what they call split phasing, and you'll probably notice it over on Crenshaw and Pinkai or 90th, that you'll have one movement and then the other movement will follow in the opposing direction. Because it is a offset intersection, it makes it kind of tricky. So we'll try it with the new traffic signal and all the other good stuff we're putting in, but if that doesn't work, we have Plan B. Now with Plan B, it does take over the intersection for a little bit longer because you're not clearing two movements at the same time, you're doing one at a time. And like I mentioned before, street light improvements, landscaping, and we're looking at starting construction in the spring as opposed to the winter this time, but in the spring, and it's a multi-year project. And that's pretty much it for my presentation, but as the councilwoman brought up, she thought I probably didn't have my closing remarks, which includes the questions that were asked last time. So Dorothy, I took care of you. Cheryl, I met with actually a couple Cheryls, right? We talked about doing the alley over off of Spinning, and but no, seriously. So Mrs. Latham, I don't know if she's here, but she had a question about not receiving a tree, so we made sure she didn't get a tree. We also talked about some painting that was on the parkway in front of their homes on the grass area. So those markings are important when you dig in the public right-of-way. If you don't mark the utilities, you'll either hit a water line, you could hit a sewer line, you could hit an electrical line, which is even worse. And that's why they mark those areas. But they're usually marked in chalk, and they eventually go away. Oh, that's not always the case. Yeah, okay. So they're supposed to use a chalk type material, but maybe not always. The changeable message boards, it was brought up last time that they needed reflectors. We put reflectors so you can see them at night, because that is not something that we want anybody to run into. Those are the changeable message boards on Crenshaw and along Pinkai and in various other areas in the city. Trash cans along Pinkai. We had some, we still have them. They're the plastic barrel ones. We did order new ones, and I hate to blame these things on COVID, but we're still having a hard time sourcing materials for whatever reason. And so we have brand new trash cans coming in. They're actually stainless steel. They're very high end. They're very nice. And so we're proposing that along Prairie. What else? I think that's about it, because I did cover 111th place in Thoreau. So thank you very much. If there's any questions, and I don't know if you want Bill to come up here about parking enforcement first, and then we can. Yes, why don't we do that? All right, Bill, come on up. And hopefully I'm not a tough act to follow, Bill.
You're welcome. Thank you, Councilwoman Lewis. Thank you. My name's Bill Thompson. I'm the Director of Parking and Traffic for the City of Inglewood. I work for a company called Laz Parking. Laz has well over 400 locations throughout the greater Los Angeles area. They manage garages, hotel parking, restaurant parking, and several municipal governments, West Hollywood, Burbank, a couple other ones in the South Bay too. So we've got tonight also, I brought two of my managers with me, Diana and Bridget. I know parking especially always has questions at the end. I brought them especially so that if you have a specific situation in your neighborhood or your home or something, you can talk to them after the meeting tonight. We also have a couple of flyers, because I'll talk about permit parking very briefly. I won't be up here that great of a long time. I'm formerly with the Inglewood Police Department. I retired from there. In fact, the mayor, who's under the weather tonight, the mayor and I were car partners a few years back, and we were car partners in the police department for about 6 years. And then he just shot up, sergeant, lieutenant, chief, and I made sure the cars kept running. But anyway, we're here tonight. I mean, parking isn't always the most favorable thing you want to talk about. I know I went to a block club meeting over on 7th Avenue last week, and the meeting started at 6, and I said, well, what time do you want me to be there? About 10 minutes to 7. So, the parking officer, we're the ones that give out the tickets, and so we're not always that friendly guy that they want to spend a lot of time with. Anyway, next slide. So this is our goals here basically, with the traffic department is obviously less vehicle congestion and to increase resident parking in the neighborhoods. And I mean that because I'm speaking about we want to try and get the commercial vehicles off the streets. We want to get those Ubers off, those people going to LAX and they park in front of your house and they go on their trip. So we want to try and increase the parking. We also, we want to keep the streets clean. We want to keep them clean so the street sweepers can get up and down. We want to make sure that the trash is collected. Abandoned vehicles, the commercial trucks, beginning to be a big problem as well. So we want to also try and protect the neighborhoods from the entertainment district, those fans going to the Forum, SoFi Stadium, and soon to be the Intuit Dome. So we want to try and to make it so that when you come home from work at night or you come back from the store in the evening, you've got a place to park in front of your house. We also try and encourage rideshare, and I've got a slide coming up in a second that'll show you what we do as far as providing locations to our guests coming into the city so that they can kind of get an idea where they can park and pick up the Ubers and the Lyfts, and obviously less cars coming into the city for us. And of course, I always use the word community coalition. I mean, we get a lot of calls from residents. We go to a lot of block club meetings, and anything we can try and improve, you know, the streets to be clean, safe, and available to park is what we want to do. So I'm going to talk briefly about the permit parking program and a little bit about the transit center when we kind of shift over to traffic and not parking. Some of the roadway improvements when we're dealing with large events at SoFi Stadium, some of the double events where we've got an event at the Forum and SoFi at the same time. Renaissance and Carlton Square, I'll talk briefly about that. And of course, if you're from those communities, you're probably familiar with the hang tag that we use to help you get in and out of traffic when you are trying to get home, especially the Renaissance, where there's a lot of roadblocks and a lot of diversions, but this is your magic ticket. And sometimes we miss you, but for the most part, with this ticket, with this hang tag displayed, we can get you home. Okay, next slide. So residential permit parking program started 2020. And of course, the goal was really to kind of point towards that entertainment district and the streets around the entertainment venues, the SoFi Forum and the Intuit Dome, so that, like I said before, people have a place to park when they come home from work or out at the store. It's a citywide parking program, but not in every neighborhood. Your city council members wanted to kind of break this out into phases, see how it goes, and the most important thing that they put in this ordinance was flexible. So we have found that some neighborhoods have gathered together and felt that they didn't really need a parking permit program. Your leadership has created an option so that 75% of the residents on the block can take that option and drop out of the program. We've had probably about 8 or 9 streets in the city that have done that so far. Got one trying to come back in. So there's options where that you're not kind of locked into a program that doesn't work for your neighborhood. We'll go next slide. These are the districts, just to kind of give you an idea. So many times when you go online to apply for your permit, your parking permit, it will ask you what district you're in. We also enforce by districts, and so when residents are calling and complaining about a situation, it's important for us to know what district you're in, so that we can move our enforcement cars to that area and be a little bit more aware of what your problem is. Next slide. So the process for applying for parking permits is pretty simple. It's on the city website. In fact, after the meeting, both of my managers have a couple of flyers that can kind of walk you through it. If that doesn't work, at the end, the last slide, I'm going to give you some phone numbers. We can help you log on to the internet and get the permits for you so that you're not stuck. And I'm going to give you some important phone numbers where you can call, and we'll walk you through the process. And we have bilingual clerks that handle the permit parking program. And of course, Diana's bilingual tonight, so we're here to help you and make it as smooth as possible. The next slide. And so this is our sports and entertainment district that I was referring to. And this is the areas that actually we found to be have the most progress as far as kind of having it so that the neighborhoods and the residents have a place to park. Before the program was adopted, your council members reached out to venues and stadiums across the country. And every one that they visited, the venue, the cities would always bring up the fact that you've got to implement some sort of a permit parking program. That's the only way you won't crush your neighborhoods with these fans coming to see the events. For the most part, the fans that find that one place to park will always come back to the same place. But after a couple of tickets, and maybe their car being towed, they'll rethink their strategy about where they want to park. Next slide. Now, this is at the corner of Prairie and Arborvitae, and for all the SoFi events and some of the larger events at the Forum, especially double events, this is the transit lot where the buses from across the greater Los Angeles area will come in and drop off their guests. And of course, the strategy there is less cars coming in, better traffic conditions on the street. And that's used quite frequently. And there's some parking garages that are being used as well. But this was a great idea years ago, thinking ahead, like so many of the other venues across the country do the same thing. What's that next slide now? These are the rideshare locations that were established, and for the most part, we try and get Uber and Lyft to kind of cooperate with us a little bit. Instead of pulling over the side of the road on Manchester going east from Prairie, that they go to these designated areas after an event at one of our venues and pick up their guests there. It's taken a couple of years, but they're doing much better now. And one's up on Kareem Court between Manchester and Penkai, and then there's a couple on the south side along Century and Prairie. So if we get them to kind of follow the rules, it's just that much less traffic we had to deal about. Next slide. So these next two slides, we have a lot of calls that come in and say, we just never see a parking enforcement officer on our street. Now, I've always felt that the chances of me looking out a window and seeing a police car or a parking enforcement driving by at the time I look out the window is probably remote. But this, we're going to put these on the council, on the city website, and by council districts, and it'll kind of give you an idea of where all the tickets are issued for that particular month. Now, this is October, and then when you flip to the next slide, you'll see December. I know it's maybe hard to see here, but obviously December we were still in the NFL football season, so there's a lot more citations issued. But parking enforcement officers are writing about 7,000 a month. In comparison, you talk about like a city in West Hollywood that has a lot of outdoor activity, they're issuing about 15,000 citations a month. So we're active, and a lot of times you can see on the streets there that the amount of times we've come by, maybe on your street, and this way, when you go on the website, you'll be able to kind of see what's going on in my neighborhood. Next slide. Okay, so here's some important numbers, and the number on the top, and they're all 412 numbers, area code 310. So that top number is 5398. That's the residential permit parking program clerks. So if you have a question about anything to do with the permit parking, that would be the number you would call there. You can also leave voicemail. And then I've got Diana and Bridget's number. That's their incoming line. And then I'm on the bottom. And anytime you've got any issues at all related to parking and traffic, be sure and give us a call. I just wanted to mention one thing about traffic that was mentioned earlier here today. Better than 25% of my traffic control officers are residents of the city, and I've got all ages. I have some retired, I have a retired gentleman that I can think of right now that works 6 or 7 blocks from where he lives. He's a retired postman, and he's just tremendous. And when you work in the city that you live in, you really kind of give it that extra effort. So we're proud to be able to say that we do that. For a big SoFi event, I put probably about 65 or 70 traffic control officers out there. When the Intuit Dome opens up, just imagine the SoFi and the Dome running at the same time. The advantage to the Intuit Dome is they've got 3 garages. You've probably seen them at Century and Prairie. Each one of those garages holds 3,000 cars. And they're building another one across the street from the casino here. So most of that traffic won't be spinning around the neighborhood. They'll go right to those garages. So that's our numbers. What's the next slide?
That's it.
Oh, that's it. Okay. So like I said, I've got Bridget and Diana in the back if you have specific questions, or I can take a couple now if you like.
Questions, if you could go to the microphone so that it can be captured in our recording.
And we've got our cards, our business cards back there as well, so if you need to get a card.
Good evening. First, I want to say, Mr. Cartwell, thank you. Those were my requests, the ones that you talked about as far as on Prairie and the big screens and the reflectors. And the one that you forgot that, yes, was taken care of was southbound on Prairie at Arborvitae in front of the 7-Eleven where they were parking. And thank you, Councilwoman, for supporting us on that, not to mention what the work that you did at Darby Park. The only one question I had for you is if you could please look into the trees when you're traveling eastbound on 90th Street approaching 7th Avenue. There's an overgrown tree there that's covering the stop sign. Mr. Thompson, hi. I am the parking security chair for Renaissance Residents, the Homeowner Association. And one of the concerns that we have is that when the residential parking permit program was put into effect, that us as residents were not taking into account. We have a very limited amount of parking space within our community. Our community is just reaching the age of 18 and a half years old, and a lot of people that were babies when they moved in are now young adults that are starting to drive, and we're living in a society where there are multiple people living in a household to be able to cover for the housing crisis and the unhoused problem that we have in Los Angeles County. In doing so, the parking that we were using on Pinkai is no longer available for us for residents because we were not included in the permit process, and that's not an area that's permitted. And that's understandable, but what is happening is on event days, it's posted no parking, so residents do not park there, and we try to accommodate them when we can. However, they're not allowed to apply for a permit for the bordering streets that are around us to park their vehicles, and they're left with no options. Then on top of that, when there are events that occur at the Forum is allowed to have their patrons park there on Pinkai, and sometimes it's even turned into diagonal parking to fit more parking for them. And you're allowing them to do something, or it's being allowed by the city of Inglewood for them to do things that the people that live in that community are unable to do. And we would appreciate if someone could look into that, because that's not fair to us as residents, that people can visit our community and have more rights as far as when it comes to parking and other resources than the people that live right there. The second thing I want to address is the pink and purple passes the magenta passes that you mentioned. Yes, we have been given the magenta passes, and we were told that when we come in sometimes that we can use that following the traffic plan that was passed out with them and where we could use them. But unfortunately, there are very many parking enforcement officers that are not familiar with the pass. And when you show it to them or even show them the map, they can be rude and condescending and give you a hard time. And that's really bad, especially when you have to use the bathroom and you've been trying to get home from work for the last hour, but you're caught in traffic. So if you could please do more education to your employees on recognizing the passes and letting us know how we can get in. Another thing along with that is that in the last few nights, not like recently this week or anything, but the last few events that occurred, in traveling from southbound from Florence Avenue, and this may not be you, this may be Inglewood Police, but you're not allowed to negotiate going eastbound on Prairie or Manchester. Everyone's being sent, for instance, when you get to the intersection of Prairie and Manchester, everyone's being sent westbound. But we live east, so how do you get home? And then we were told to go down to Century, but you can't go southbound and you can't go east, but we live east. So they send you westbound Manchester, you follow the detours, you end up in the same place where you started, and you're not able to get to your residence. I even called Inglewood Dispatch to ask them which streets open for me to get home, and they told me to try driving through the city of Los Angeles and going all the way down to Imperial Highway and coming north. So even when I did that, I can't go east. So after I've done all that and come come back around. If I still can't go east, we can't get home. We only have one ingress and egress, and that's on Pinkai. And I just ask that that's taken into consideration when you're working on your traffic plan. Lastly, a problem that we have, yes, you mentioned with Uber and Lyft. So I used to be the special events coordinator for the city of Los Angeles, and I handled the Rams when they were at the Coliseum. I did their police and fire mutual aid plan for that being one of my venues. And I don't understand why there's not a hold on Uber and Lyft. Through Uber and Lyft, through their law enforcement department, you can red zone areas. And the part about red zoning areas in the app is that it doesn't even allow them to pick up anyone in that area. And should they pick up someone in that area, they're not compensated. But we have Pinkai full of people pulling over. Not your fault, but we don't have enough traffic enforcement officers or law enforcement officers to tell them that's not a pickup zone. Instead, we have signs, and we have signs telling people what to do when there's no one there to enforce it if they don't do it. And that's unfortunate. So I ask that you guys look into the redlining for the Uber and Lyft so that there's more penalty to them financially for pulling over, because there isn't one if they just do so. And I just thought of one more thing, I'm sorry, and then I'll be done. On Pinkai, when you mentioned where the staging area is at Kareem Court, often what happens is the westbound on Pinkai is closed off, and there's a cone configuration for the Uber and Lyft and the TCPs to line up, as well as the TNCs. And so what happens when they're lining up on Pinkai eastbound when westbound is closed, our fire department that's at the corner of Pinkai and Crenshaw uses that for a main thoroughfare to connect the city. And oftentimes, if I'm walking or I'm just out there, because you can't see that it's closed at the bottom until you get to the bottom, once they pass the Renaissance and they're going code 3 lights and sirens, they have to turn around and come back and go the other way because there's nothing to let them know that the road is closed. And it's my understanding, unless something's changed, that there has to be a 20-foot fire lane on all streets at all times. And this fire lane is not being withheld when the TNCs are, or the Uber and Lyfts are parking and stacking to pick up riders on Pinkai waiting to go onto Kareem Court. And I know you probably don't have answers for all of these things tonight, but I would appreciate, I can give you my number after, someone on your team, if we can discuss it so I can address it with the residents. I don't want to take up any more time of everyone else on something that just affects my community.
I get it. Right behind you is Diana. She can get your number there. I'd love to chat with you about that. But I will say one thing, because it involves an emergency vehicle. On Pinkai, there is an emergency lane in the center, and of course, county fire and police are aware of that, so they can get through any of those road closures. We've got an adequate lane. Yeah. Right. Good. We'll talk. We'll definitely talk. Was there any other questions at all? Yes, sir.
Sir, I'm sorry. We're going to need to have you go to the microphone because we need to be able to record your question.
Okay, my name is Abdul. I'm living on 108th Street. I've spoke to Malcolm several times about our traffic situation. We've got Morriside School, Woodwork School, a few other schools on that join my main street, which is 108th Street. We have no traffic sign for schooling, for children cross the street or walking on the street. Traffic comes down there from Crenshaw to Prairie. They come down like about 60 miles an hour or more. We, the residents, can't get out of our driveway without being hit. I've been hit several times. My neighbors have been hit several times. But of all this time I've been living in Inglewood, it is a main street, I know that. We can't have or we know we don't have the ability to have small little humps in our streets to slow them down. Again, we don't have no traffic sign like saying there's a school zone 25 miles an hour or slow down. You know, give us the time to walk the street or drive out of the street. So if something could be done, we would appreciate that. Between Crenshaw and Lamoli, Yukon, and Prairie. Also, we got these kids that is doing the takeover of the street, right on Lamoli and 108th Street. Sometimes, if we have a traffic officer patrol the line sometimes, we can deter some of that. That's about what I'm asking for. Just give us some peace of mind to get out of our driveway, so we can be safe and comfortable. Kids pass there all the time when the school's open. So we need some kind of interference to slow the traffic down. Thank you.
And thank you for that, and I've made some notes here about what you've described. Yeah. Okay. That be it? Okay, and again, be sure, I got the managers back there, we're back there, we got some flyers if you need it after the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you. Can we please give them a round of applause? Louis Atwell and Bill Thompson working so hard, and I want to thank our community resident that's in my community. She is always very good at expressing concerns and working with the city to make sure that these issues are resolved. So thank you so much for that presentation, and we will get back to you at the next town hall with an update on your concerns. Next up, we have Christopher Jackson. He is our Economic and Community Development Director. He is going to give an update on what's happening in District 4 regarding business development, housing development, and all of that good stuff. But we do have a really good update also from that is in store for you as well on our Hollywood Park as well. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Christopher Jackson.
All right, you guys are champs, right? I want y'all to know I did ride my bike today, those of you who know. So my bike is at City Hall waiting for me to come. So I'm gonna be on my bike in real cold weather. So I'm committed. I'm committed. I wanna, first of all, let me thank everybody for coming out. I think it is really important in terms of being engaged in your community that you focus on these type of events because they give so much information. Whether you agree or don't agree, you're hearing it firsthand and you're able to make a decision on what directions you want to go, and particularly in identifying individuals that you can communicate with. I want to thank, let's go to first slide. Oh, you did it, okay. So let me start by this. Before, you guys knew me as the Economic and Community Development Director. A lot of syllables, very difficult to say. So we had some recent budgetary changes where we renamed the department simply Development Services Department. So now Development Services is all you have to say. We didn't call it Community Development because we have a Community Services portion of the department with Parks and Rec. So we just want to make it Development Services because that's really what we do. And as part of that, you see the three divisions that I oversee are the Code Enforcement Division, the Planning Division, and the Building Safety Division. Those three divisions are directly under my leadership. I have two of my managers that are here, Mr. Jerry Tucker. Some of you guys know he's our Code Enforcement Manager. Jerry, wave your hand. And then we have newly appointed acting planning manager, Mr. Bernard McCrumbie. So so y'all got to give them a hand so they'll feel good. All right, y'all can sit down now. Good, go have fun. All right, good. So hopefully the cookies were good and stuff. So anyway, I think what I was tasked to do is really kind of talk to you guys. Oh, and by the way, the economic development manager, I still kind of get a lot of confusion regarding that. That was moved to the city manager's office. So you saw the city manager come up and speak to you earlier. Economic development manager is now under his authority, and as a result of that, I no longer oversee that. So if there's questions about business attraction, retention, expansion, that's all going to go through the city manager's office right now. So let's talk about the good stuff. Next slide. Good. All right, news. The acting planning manager told me to tell you we have a general plan update that is underway. We were finally able to secure some money. Thank you very much, Councilwoman Faulk, for voting yes on our budgetary response to get an updated general plan. A lot of the issues that you're talking about, particularly in the area of visioning, particularly in the area of where we're going as a city, is contained in our governing document by state code, by a matter of fact, and that is our general plan. The general plan is generally a 20-year plan that looks like, where are we going? And as you guys know, we've been kind of, operating based on just a vision of the mayor, which has been tremendous. But now we need to start looking at all the other pieces. We need to make sure our circulation is right. We need to make sure our land use is right. All these things the general plan addresses, and we're able to look at where we're going to be 20 years from now, and hopefully address a lot of the issues that you were talking about this evening. So look out for that. We're asking for your participation. We're going to be doing a lot of hybrid stuff, some Zoom stuff, some team stuff, some things that are going to be in person, and so those are going to be really good opportunities for you to really put your mark on it. Was anybody around when we did Hollywood Park specific plan? Anybody around for that? We had all kind of meetings, and what you see in Hollywood Park, just take the stadium off that discussion, is really the vision of the community in terms of the retail. So you have Sinopolis there, you have Cosm coming, you have JD Sports, you have Tyra Banks' location. So I'm not getting into his gravy. I know he's looking at me, I'm in your gravy, but I'm excited about what's happening there. I took my family. Anybody go to Sinopolis? Have you guys been to Sinopolis? Oh my goodness. You know how long I've been leaving I live in Inglewood. Me and my family, 7 kids, 4 grandkids. The grands aren't in my house, so that's good parenting, I always say, because I taught my children how to leave, right? So, and they're doing a really good job at it, Councilwoman, a really good job. So, but when you think about it, being able to go in your own community and be able to have a first-class experience for a theater is great. I've been driving to all kind of communities with my family for decades, and it really feels good to be able to come locally. So we're really excited about that. I won't, again, take a little bit of that thunder. Next slide. So I'm here really, at least what I was tasked with was really kind of talk about housing, because the big stuff, I'll leave that for all the, and I said it real quick so you can say it again, they didn't catch it, right? So housing activity, let's talk about what's going on in the district. Okay, you guys know this building at all? This is a building, it looks familiar. If you ever went to Sinopolis, it's sitting right on the outside of that. And this is our Crosby and Wesley. It's 314 market rate luxury units that are right on the Hollywood Park site. Absolutely amazing. They're doing tours right now. So even if you're like me, my wife and I would always go and we just peek in to see how these up chic designers did stuff. Then we go to Home Depot and duplicate it. Some of y'all don't know what I'm talking about. The paint, the look, the everything, we just steal the design from other designers that's paid very well to do this kind of stuff. So obviously it's great to go in there, take a look at what they're doing. Absolutely beautiful. Let me just tell you, first rate. So it's 314. This site, the Hollywood Park site, is programmed for 2,500 units when it's all said and done. That back side of the area, the Panhandle area, is where a lot of that residential development would occur. Let's go to the next slide. Prairie Station. You guys know that big old lot on Imperial and Prairie? On the corner there, right across from La Quinta Hotel, that big old site. This is programmed right now for 400 units to go in this location. studio, 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms. As you guys know, the market is really all about producing a lot of rentals. So that's what's happening right now. We've seen this cycle before. Remember when we had all the rentals and then all of a sudden they became condos, and some of y'all lived through all that change in the marketplace. I think we're gonna have a similar cycle at some point where the rentals are some of these are gonna become condominiums, and we have systems in place to be able to deal with that. But this is a project that is in the preliminary stages, and it's something that we're really excited about as a city. Next slide. One of our really first infill projects, this is the Parthian. This is right across from, you guys know where Burleson Coke Factory is? So it's right across the street on Imperial, and it's a existing building that they're looking to demolish, and then this is the development, 20-unit development. It'll have an affordable unit as well, but this will begin kind of the new look that you're gonna see along Imperial. There's been a lot of emphasis on things that are going on Century, and usually I get over here and I'm talking to you guys about Century. This is the first phase, and this is a residential project. Next slide. All right, so let's talk about other spots. Now let me just tell you, development generally, and I've worked for a number of cities, development generally radiates out. So what we're gonna see is a lot of things are gonna be happening in the core area of our entertainment district, and then they'll start radiating, and you're gonna begin to see similar types of development on our major corridors like Imperial, Crenshaw. All those things will start to happen. You'll see a lot of things where they'll be tearing down some of the older buildings. If my house was built in 1940, anybody had a house that was built way back when? And so you're gonna see a lot of that, what we call urban recycling that goes on. This project is the Astor project. This is in our downtown area. If you haven't been to our downtown area, come down there and visit a little bit. You're real close to City Hall, so you can go right up to the 9th floor and talk to the councilwoman and Malcolm. So it's in walking distance, right across the street. We have a neighborhood Target. They were just talking about Target doing some hiring. This is one of the opportunities that are there as well. It is 243 market rate units. It also has commercial on the bottom. Commercial retail. There's a number of shops that we're working on programming in there. Again, part of this is to revitalize the downtown area. Next, and also you can take a tour of that. Really cool interior designs as well. Next slide. All right, this is the 225 North La Brea Avenue. Anybody ever go to old Costa Taco back in the day? Costa Taco used to be right across from, what is that, Walgreens, I think, on the other side. So this one is right on the other side. That building that's there is going to be torn down. Right now, it's being used for kind of staging and whatnot. And this is the new development. It's 5-story building, 137 units with affordable housing in it as well. Not all affordable housing, but there'll be about 10, 15 units of affordable housing in there as well. Next. This one right here, this is our stunner, right? I wish I would have been able to talk about our hotel stuff. I'll come back and talk about that next time, because we have some really amazing hotels that are being planned, and we hope to have many of them up and operational by the time we get to the Olympics, right? And maybe some of them, that'll happen a little bit before. But we have, this is actually in downtown. You know, I used to frequent Payless Shoe Source. Y'all remember Payless, right? Because I had the little kids. They had the little cool shoes at Payless. You know what I mean? They weren't high end, but they fit the budget. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So, and this was that old site, and it was really a problematic site. Finally, we were able to get a developer come in here. This is 16 stories, you guys. Just to let you know, the city goes basically 10 stories, 6 stories higher than City Hall, but it will be a stunner. I'm talking about when you're on I think you'll just want to get on the train just to come and see this, right? So this is what's being programmed. Really excited about the opportunity there. It's mixed use. It also has ground floor commercial, and it is, I think, going to be an amazing project. So we're really excited about this one as well. Next slide. All right, Hillcrest. Remember, many of y'all medical, you go to the Hillcrest building and you see it, it's all torn down now, it's all kind of stuff. This is that project. So this project is 5-story building. It's a rehab, 65 apartment units, and then it has ground floor commercial on the bottom as well. So reprogramming that, really cool, changing glazing. It's really the roof deck on there is gonna be amazing. You'll be able to see 360 degrees all the way around. So a lot of these projects are incorporating roof decks in there. So some of your houses would be cool roof decks, so you can look out and see the stadium and stuff if you happen to be positioned towards that. So 65 units, ground floor retail. I think that's, oh, one more. Under construction. This is a La Brea Lofts. This is right across the street from the Astor project in our downtown. And so it's under construction right now. They're, I think, programmed to finish up sometime this year. So it is 6 stories, 144 units, also has an affordable component in it as well. And it's kind of across the street from the Astor project. I will say this, anybody have Kaiser? I got to tell y'all this one. So Kaiser just recently came into our planning commission. 2 of our commissioners are here, our Chairman Springs and Commissioner Shaw Williams. And we're really, really excited about what they're doing. Kaiser is redoing their entire building. It's, I use that word stunner, it's that. I rarely hear the Planning Commission not kind of pick stuff apart. They're good at doing that. They were just like, when can we get this done? So there's some exciting things that are happening. I think that's the last, one more? Oh, yeah. How can I forget this one? Jefferson Westchester, we just did the groundbreaking on this one. Old car wash, you know when you're going around Manchester and it takes that bend? Some of y'all been to the LA fire range, you know, those of you have some, some protection. It's right in front of that, so the car wash has been demolished. This is the building that's going to be, we originally called it the Curb back when the concept first came up, but it's an 8-story building, 222, I think it's 222 units above ground floor commercial. Again, you see the scale of these buildings that are coming in, a lot of, what you see in our urban core. So to follow the curve. So now, I don't know why they did Westchester. I wasn't happy about that. I didn't vote for Westchester. I wanted to be Jefferson Inglewood, which is, I think, has better snazz to it. But we'll see what happens when they all said and done, because I'm trying to put my influence on this and get that name to something else. But it's under construction now, about a 2-year, 18-month build for this project, so you'll see that going up. So as you're traveling west on Manchester, just be careful because there's going to be a lot of construction activity that's going on. Is that the last one? I think that's it. So I had a whole bunch of other stuff, but I want to thank the councilwoman for the opportunity to come in front. I know you guys are really hanging on in there. Congratulations to you for all of that. There's exciting things that are happening in the city, and I know you guys have a number of things, and I think I'm going to open it up for questions now. Is that all right? Oh, you're on a roll. Huh? Turn it off.
Hi. My question is, of these apartment buildings, the market rate that you were mentioning and showing in your presentation, they all mention that affordable housing is included in it, but none of the numbers are mentioned. But a couple of them say a affordable unit, which usually means 1, and I would not like to believe that that's the case, especially for the 400-unit building. So I wanted to ask, what is the percentage of low-income housing that's being included in these projects that are coming to our community?
Okay, good. Okay, so the A was only 1, and that was 20 units. So it was just 1 unit included in that. And there's a difference. I won't get into the details of it, but there's low and very low. When you get into very low, the number of units that are required actually reduce for density bonus purposes. And density bonus is just an incentive for housing as it's being produced to allow some incentives to include affordable housing. These housing units that are included there come with 55-year covenants. So that basically means for 55 years they have to have that. On the others that we're referring to, actually the 400-unit one, I think the number of affordable units in that is about 150 units of that 400. The others are averaging, and this is what I typically see, is anywhere from 10 to 20 units are affordable. And it's usually a mixture of low and very low. That's all kind of tied to the area medium income. Cut it off.
Can you hear me? Okay. I understand there's different levels, and I have a master's in urban planning, so I don't mind explaining to my neighbors the differences. But can you give me an idea of how it's calculated is my question. Like the locations that you mentioned went, yes, from 20 to 400, but like in a general, what math or how do you math how many of them? We're trying to get an idea. I was talking to the person sitting next to me. We're trying to get an idea of how many of these homes are actually for people that live in the community and what we're being outpriced in. So if you could just give me an example, just on one location, for instance, on how you do the math on how many are going to be low income, or like if it does depend on the tax break that you're giving back to them or something like that. And on the side, I can explain to my neighbors what you're talking about if it's something someone doesn't understand. But I'm just trying to get out of all those projects that you mentioned, like how many units are we getting? Are we getting 10? We're getting 100? Like, you know, that's pretty much the question.
I got you.
Turn it off.
All right, let me start by we're getting all the units. All the units are coming to Inglewood. So let's start with that. I understand, I think your question really delves into some detail. I certainly could talk with you one-on-one to be able to share that. You can go to our density bonus section of our municipal code. I know you got your master's in urban planning, so I know you know this. You can go to our municipal code, and the municipal code outlays the specific standards by which you calculate density bonus. And I don't want to bore everybody with that, but it ranges anywhere from 5 to 20%. When you get into tax credit which is a whole, I didn't want to get this deep, but when you get into certain, the rule of thumb is about 20% is when you start getting state incentives, state level incentives. When you get local incentives for density bonus, it ranges from 5 to 20%. On average. So what we've done is every last one of the projects I talked about has specifically what the covenants would be on the properties for affordable. I will say this, because I've heard this discussion before. I've lived in this community for long enough. I know it seems, when we did the Renaissance project, anybody remember Renaissance? I think somebody knew. You know Renaissance? You know what they said Renaissance was for? Y'all ready? It was for white folks. They said that wasn't for black folks. You know who bought all those? Black folks. So here's one of the things that I want us to remember. We have a diversity of people in our community. We have built up a lot of equity. We have opportunities in our community that not just are geared towards low and very low. We have folks who are what we call work class housing. We have folks who are professionals. And so we need to make sure that we're addressing this issue for all of the citizens of Inglewood. So I think it's important that I mention that, because that's a very good example of what they thought was going to happen. But in fact, what happened was it attracted a lot of our professional folks who were in all the different ranks, and they came into Inglewood, and many of them still live in the city of Inglewood. So. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to let you go on that, and I'll send you an email. Sure. So my next question is on the general plan that you're working on that's being redone. I would like to know two things. The first one is any consideration is being given to the underutilized properties, not just in the entertainment district, but things that are going on in other places in Inglewood. We understand why the entertainment district is getting all of the attention now, but any plans to address those issues in other parts of the city as far as the underutilized buildings and the remodeling of those in the general plan? And the second thing I wanted to ask you about is the report done by the Urban Land Institute on Century Boulevard. Is the city, if they haven't already, I haven't seen anything, but do you guys plan to respond, or does the planning department plan to make any comments about the recommendations that City Council had requested on the report from Urban Land Institute?
Okay, we good? First question.
The first question has to do with underutilized properties within the city of Inglewood, what a lot of cities are doing. I work for the city of Los Angeles, so what we're doing there is that we're going to underutilize properties that people own, and we're telling them if they have to develop them or they have to have a better use because it no longer fits within the general plan of the city community.
And you're in LA, right? I mean,
I work at Los Angeles World Airports. I manage a $56 million portfolio of landside real estate.
thank you. All right, so first question is for the entire city. We good? Okay. So the general plan is for the entire city. The land use plan covers all 9 square miles of the city. It addresses all of the issues. The underutilized issue you're referring to is covered generally in our housing element, which we just got certified by the state. It talks about the use of underutilized land, particularly in the area of housing. We also will obviously address that as well as far as commercial, industrial, manufacturing, and even in some of our areas we've targeted for technology. So yes, the quick answer to that is we will. I'm not quite sure about the ULI report that you're referring to because there's a number of them that have been done in the city, but whatever that is, we certainly are responding to it.
There was one released in September about the best use for Century Boulevard.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, good evening, sir. I work for the Housing and Urban Development for the Veterans Administration in West Los Angeles. And one of my questions is in regards to the affordable housing. I was under the impression that there is a certain percentage under new buildings that have to be allotted for affordable housing unless you make the decision to not do it. Is that being done? Where's the button?
Okay. No, not in the city of Inglewood. That may have been what you heard in the city of LA. They do have an ordinance that mandates that certain percentage of affordable housings are. We don't have that in the city of Inglewood. Let me tell you why we don't, because we produce more affordable housing per capita than anybody in the South Bay or LA. So if you look at our population versus we've produced affordable housing for decades. And so we looked at doing zoning that would require that, but we looked at our record and determined that we were already taking advantage of things like density bonus, so we were already creating opportunities for development to be able to include affordable housing in there. So I think we've addressed that for now, but it's something that planning has considered, has looked at, but we decided that there were enough incentives out there to not have to force people to build affordable housing, but they would do it as a program of what they were trying to build on their site. And I think we've been fairly successful with that. Thank you. All right?
All right, thank you so much. Let's give it up for Chris Jackson. He always does a stupendous job presenting what is happening in Inglewood, especially with housing. We are going to move on to a video from our county administrator, Dr. Jim Morris. Unfortunately, we didn't get our calendars right tonight, and they had a board meeting. Otherwise, he would have been here in person. So he did complete a video that we are going to share about the update regarding Inglewood Unified School District. Some important information is in this video, so please pay attention.
Thank you, Councilmember Faulk, for inviting me to this important town hall meeting with the community this evening. I apologize that I cannot be there in person. We have a school board meeting this evening, but I really appreciate the opportunity to participate and communicate with our community. For 1 year now, I've had the honor and privilege of serving as the county administrator of the Inglewood Unified School District. Our job as a school district is to partner with the community to educate, challenge, and inspire the students of Inglewood. It's important that you know that our school district is making progress and is on the road to becoming an incredible resource for the community. Our district, as many of you in the community know, for the past 12 years has been in receivership. And I just want to briefly explain what receivership means to make it clear to everyone, here's where we are, and make it clear about where we're going. Back in 2012, our school district leadership at that time, none of those folks are here today, made some poor financial decisions. And as a result of that, the school district essentially became insolvent and had to take out a $29 million loan from the state in order to pay the bills that were owed at that time. For the last 12 years, the district has been essentially paying the price of some poor decisions that were made at that time. Because of being in receivership status, our district annually has to make loan payments on the loan that was taken out 12 years ago. Those annual loan payments cost the district about $1.9 million a year. In addition to that, because the district is in receivership, there's a state agency that oversees the school district. They come in once a year and they do an audit of everything that's happening in the district, from our personnel management to community relations to our instructional program, our business services, and they assess the state of the district facilities on an annual basis. That agency that comes in from the state is called the Financial Crisis and Assistance Management Team, sometimes called FCMAT. So there's two parts of the receivership status. We have to pay the state loan about $1.9 million a year. And in addition to that, we have to pay the state agency about $400,000 a year to come in and do an audit of the district. I say that so the community understands, off the top of our budget every year, we're spending about $2.3 million to correct some mistakes that were made in the past. That's receivership status. How do we get out of receivership? That's the question folks often ask me. In order to get out of receivership on that annual audit, the state agency looks at 155 standards. There's 155 accountabilities that the district must meet with a minimum score. The good news is, to date, of those 155 standards, the district has met the minimum score on 127 of them. There are still 28 areas that we have to work on. Now, think about it in this way. If a baseball player goes up to bat 155 times and they hit the ball 127, that's a pretty good record. Now we know in our district there's 28 areas that we still have to work on. Most of those areas where the district has not met the standard is in the area of facilities and finance. And that really brings us to talking about the current status of our schools, our facilities, and finance in the district. Let me just begin by saying it's clear in our district, and you'll see on this slide, our district is experiencing, like districts throughout California, declining enrollment. Our district about 20 years ago had an enrollment of 18,000 students, and today we have less than 7,000 students. That's a significant decline in enrollment. Because of that, our district has to make some tough choices in the very near future, and those tough choices are really about closing down schools or consolidating schools. Simply put, we're operating too many schools for the amount of revenue that's coming in. On this next slide, you'll see a school-by-school analysis that shows you what our enrollment is at the school and what our projected enrollment is 5 years hence in 2028. And you'll see 5 years from now, we're going to have schools with hundreds and thousands of empty seats, Because of that, we cannot continue to operate the number of schools that we currently have. It's important also to realize one of the other pieces that we have to make sure we're managing well is district facilities. We have some facilities, some schools in our district that are in beautiful shape. We have some schools that are not worthy of the children in this community. The voters of Inglewood have passed school bonds. They've passed 2 school bonds and over the past 11 years. During that time, the district has a responsibility to invest those bond dollars in the schools that children attend. We cannot continue to use taxpayers' money and invest in improving a facility that we no longer need. That's another reason that we have to make some decisions about closing schools. Of the Measure GG, the first bond, there's about $1 million that is left. The next bond that was passed by the district, Measure I, that was passed 4 years ago, has about $240 million. We have to make sure we're investing that money in projects where schools will be open and students will be attending. It's important that the community understand, yes, there are some tough decisions that have to be made. It may sound dismal, but I'll tell you, I wake up every day full of energy, enthusiasm, and hope. Why? Because Inglewood Unified School District is going in a new direction. There are amazing things happening in our schools for students every single day. Yes, we have faced some academic challenges, but we have new reading program in our schools, a program called Core Knowledge. That's a program based on making sure all students are reading by the time they're in the 3rd grade and have a strong foundation in phonics. It's an excellent program. Additionally, we put in new mathematics programs this year. We're convinced that these new instructional programs supporting our teachers with professional development and instructional materials is beginning to turn around academic achievement for our students. I want to acknowledge we face some challenges, but it is absolutely necessary that we stay focused and make the tough decisions that have to be made. Closing schools, making some budget cuts, but guess what? There's hope on the horizon. Our district is very, very committed to making sure that every student who graduates from our school district has opportunities not only to go to college, if that's the path, but also to be equipped with skills and knowledge to go to a career if that's the path that they choose. We have teachers across Inglewood who've committed many, many years of their life to serving this community. And because of that, the teachers in the classroom, our custodians, our classified staff, the folks who work in the cafeteria, there is a strong foundation of people who believe in this community, are committed to this community, and are going to build a brighter future for the children of Inglewood. I wish I were there this evening to answer questions and respond, but I promise next meeting, Councilmember Faulk, we'll make sure it's on a night that we can be there and I can be there in person. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. As you can hear from this video, Inglewood Unified School District is still persevering, still having some challenges, but overall it is moving in the right direction. Unfortunately, there will be some school closures. So please, if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to me, to Malcolm. We will make sure that your questions are forwarded to Dr. Morris for additional information, okay? Let's see. Next up, we have Bridget Calderon. She is going to give us some updates on the new Intuit Dome that's coming to town, y'all. I'm really excited about it. It's opening up this year. We have our own basketball complex here, and who knew? All of this right here in Inglewood. So I am happy to bring her here and give us some updates. Bridget Calderon.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you to the councilwoman, to Malcolm, and to all of you who stayed to the end to hear these presentations, so we really appreciate your time. Like the councilwoman mentioned, my name is Bridget Calderon, and I am one of the consultants working on the community engagement. Oh. Is that okay? I'm a little short. Okay, thank you. Working on the community engagement team for Into a Dome. So we've, had quite a few events that we've been a part of, a lot of outreach going on and continues to go on as we come near to completion on the arena. Next slide, Malcolm. And so here's some of the events. A lot of that outreach was done during the holiday season, which was a really busy time for the entire team. We kicked it off by having the Kia Forum tree lighting event on November 28th. We had free food, ice skating, a petting zoo. It was a free event for the entire community, and of course the tree lighting. There was over 3,000 to 4,000 people that attended that event. So we had a really great crowd. And then also the LA Clippers donated thousands of toys during the holiday season. They made sure to spread the toys around LA County, specifically here in Inglewood. We teamed up with Councilwoman Faulk, and I think she had about two or three toy events that she did. We also partnered up with local Inglewood organizations like Cinder Eller's organization, the Glass Slipper Foundation, Homelight Family Living, and also Heads Up Foundation. So it was really important to make sure that our Inglewood kids and youth also received some toys during the holidays. We also had our quarterly Into a Dome community meeting this month. It was at the Lourdes Huerta Elementary School. I see a couple of people that were in attendance that day. The construction team was able to give updates on the project and also, more importantly, answer questions from the community. We also make sure that we partner up with a local restaurant and business for every meeting so we can provide dinner for the residents that come in to the meeting. We also were at the Taste of Inglewood block party event. That was about 2 weeks ago. Last Saturday, we were at the 40 Love Foundation Black History Month celebration. Next slide. And here's a sample of our bi-weekly construction notices. They go out to over 1,000 residents that are around the impact zone of the arena. Next slide. And our upcoming outreach. So we will be at this Saturday's Black History Month celebration. We'll be there along with the LA Clippers and also the Kia Forum teams. Then we are also confirmed to be at the City of Inglewood Emergency Preparedness Fair event in April. We have a lot of sponsorship requests of events, but as we go on to confirm them, then we'll make that known to the community. Next slide. Communication. So communication is very important to us. So we try to have different ways that we communicate out with the residents. The first one being our website, www.buildintoadome.com. On there, you'll find project updates, but also our bi-weekly construction notices and the presentations for those that can attend the community meeting. Those are also posted onto the website. Currently, we're working on our first quarter newsletter. There's a sample of our newsletter. There's some on the front table if anybody wants to take one. For that newsletter, we do usually some local spotlights on minority and disadvantaged businesses that are working on Into a Dome. But for Black History Month, we're also spotlighting a local Inglewood resident that is one of our construction workers that are currently working on the site. His name is Justin Davis. He has a really great story. And he is, as I say, been working on the site for a little over a year. And so, the local hire is still something that keeps on going even throughout the end of the project. Next one. Here's a couple of renderings. I believe I shared some of these last time I was here. You could see the 18,000 seat arena, also the pedestrian bridge that crosses over Prairie from the parking structure, also the community plaza and the outside basketball court. And then on the other side is one of the other entrances that'll be on Prairie Avenue. As you can see, there'll be an escalator that'll take you to the different floors of the arena. Next. And here's another view of the arena off of Century. And also it takes a closer look to the community plaza. Like I mentioned, the outside basketball court, also there'll be some seating and a big screen as well. That's it. And for all that don't know, the arena is set to be completed by August of this year. And Usher has been announced to be one of the first performers at Into a Dome in September. And it was also recently announced that the All-Star Game will also be at Into a Dome in spring of 2026. So I don't know, any questions?
Well, I want to, let me get on the microphone.
Sure.
Before you leave. I want to personally thank Bridget and the LA Clippers because we usually do about 2 or 3 toy giveaways during the holidays for disadvantaged kids. And so this past holiday, we did the Winter Wonderland, and that was the 2nd annual, I believe. And so we had over 5,000 residents attend, and the Clippers donated toys for many of those kids. And so I would not have been able to afford financing and getting toys for all of those kids. So I want to thank Bridget, who is always somebody who I can call up and say, hey, Bridget, I have a great project. Will you partner with me on it? And she's always there and helping. So I want to thank you again for all of your support. All right. Thank you so much. And so we now have our update for Hollywood Park development. And here comes Aaron Curry. He is the development and leasing at Wilson Meany. And we want to have him come up. He has some great developments. As you know, Hollywood Park has a whole retail space that's opening. And I've been over there several times. It looks beautiful. It's coming along. I can't wait till you guys see it. But not only is it going to be beautiful, it is going to be so exciting when you find out some of the stores that are going to be there, erected right here in Inglewood. It's going down. Come on, Aaron.
Yes, thank you again, Councilwoman, for having me back. I appreciate it. I'm glad to see some familiar faces again. As mentioned, I work on the development team over right next door, literally, to where we're sitting right now at Hollywood Park. And yeah, have been on the project for about 6 years now, and you may be familiar with Sinopolis's opening as the first retail space or the first open tenant as a part of that project. But there's a lot more coming, and so I appreciate the opportunity to be here and hopefully get you excited about what else is coming. My disclaimer is that I do not control the parking situation at Hollywood Park or the surrounding areas, so I do apologize in advance, but just know that parking is something specifically for the retail that we're always evaluating and we're tweaking, and as we update it, I think it'll be satisfactory in the coming days. So that's my only disclaimer, but I think if we could jump to the next slide, I'll be able to kind of point out a few things that are happening. And so this is an aerial of the overall project, a little bit of a merchandising plan for us. So that big green L in the corner where it says Sinopolis, again, is our 55,000 square foot movie theater that's open now. And probably since the last time that I was here, the last meeting, I believe, the National Association of Cinema awarded Sinopolis Best New Theater, by the way, in all of North America. Sorry, the North American Cinema Association awarded Sinopolis Best New Theater, and that's throughout, U.S., Mexico, and Canada. So something to be proud of. I think it's a fantastic experience and hope you'll go over there if you have not had an opportunity. But that's only the beginning as far as the open stores and the quality of stores and restaurant and experiences that you'll see across the street. So the second operator actually is an Inglewood-based art gallery called Residency Art Gallery. that we have in about a space that's open for about, I think, 6 months now almost. But just having a gallery as a part of the project to really emphasize kind of the arts in a prominent positioning in the project is something that's very, very important to us. And actually, if you zoom out a little bit, the way this map works is basically everything that you see in green will more or less be open by this summer or the end of the year. So that's a little over half the project in some large spaces. I know Mr. Jackson stole a little bit of the shine and announced a lot of these earlier, but I'll just kind of I'll reiterate a few of them because I think we've got some really incredible operators. Iconics, as you can kind of see sort of in the middle in that square, is a fitness center, 50,000 square foot fitness center that I think is best in class. They're about 30 days out from opening, so if you haven't had a chance to sign up yet, I do think they are taking memberships still. I know they've already got a couple thousand signups, the majority of which are Inglewood residents that are excited to have a brand new fitness facility opening here in short order. And then you can see Three Weavers is a deal that we've been working on for a very long time, but if you're not familiar, Lynn Weaver and Three Weavers, they're right behind basically Randy's Donuts now. They'll have a second location at the project, and that's coming along soon as well. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Councilwoman's favorite concept is Smy's Ice Cream, an ice cream shop that actually is going to be owned and operated by Tyra Banks, who's, as you may know, an Inglewood resident, born and raised, or Inglewood born. And then we actually have a hair salon that's kind of a shared and beauty services space called Phoenix Salon Suites, but that one is actually owned and operated by LL Cool J and a few of his business partners, and that's going to be about 15 to 16,000 square feet. So they're not quite hiring yet, but if you know people in the beauty industry, they're going to have opportunities for entrepreneurs and business owners to have, I think, maybe 60 or 70 or so opportunities to kind of sublease space and kind of service clients from that facility. A lot of what we're trying to create is outdoor community space that ties into a greater retail dynamic. So restaurants that are, popular in neighborhoods, local, be it, no size minimums or maximums kind of to be had. We've got as big as 14,000 square foot restaurants and as small as 1,200 square foot quick service local operators. So there should be an extensive dining program. Again, some of those operators will be open later this summer. And then if you kind of mark your calendars at kind of the end of summer through the next following year, the majority of the project should be kind of open and operating. JD Sports is probably the most recent deal that we just signed. It's an international fitness or sports and apparel store that's going to be opening a flagship space close to 8,000 square feet and a lot of quality retail opportunities that are going to kind of lay out alongside of it. And then if you haven't been already too, we've got farmers markets. I think farmers markets are happening every Saturday now when there's not an event. So if you can make it over on a Saturday morning to check out the Hollywood Park Farmers Market, I would highly recommend it. And just walk the project. Hopefully it feels nice. We put a lot of effort and thought into the outdoor space and the landscaping and wanted it to be a beautiful space, whether you're going to shop or eat or just take a nice little stroll through the park. So please enjoy. I think I can answer a couple questions. I know I'm probably running a little bit long here, but if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer. If not, Councilwoman can get us connected if you do have any questions in the future. But thank you again for the time, and look forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you.
All right. That was Aaron Curry. He's doing a lot of great things over there at Hollywood Park. And I think I see my friend out there too. I want to shout him out, Gerard McCollum. Hey, Gerard, give him a. Gerard, if you don't know who he is somebody that's working hard for Inglewood residents. He has been around. He's done a lot of community engagement work, working with developers to make sure that they put their best foot forward when they come into Inglewood and develop a project. So he is our friend, our partner, and our family member. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Okay, last but certainly not least, we have Lisa Trifoletti, and everybody knows about the ITC. Can somebody tell me what ITC stands for? Y'all got it. Y'all know, right? Here we go. We're going to get a great update from Lisa Trifoletti. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you. I'm so sorry we went over, but I appreciate you.
And I know a lot of you have heard us give a presentation, so I'm not going to repeat stuff that you know, but I just want to make sure you all have an updated status. So let's just get into it. I mean, as you heard some folks talk about congestion and really trying to make, and you heard, Chris Jackson talk about all these exciting projects, and you have a lot of growth and investment coming into Inglewood. The city and the leadership, the city council, LA Metro, we're really working together as a partner to come up with world-class transportation infrastructure that can match your world-class city. And so we have, with all the events coming, along with the growth and all of the housing that you're seeing, this is an area where federal, state, and local government are looking to invest in. And so we are really proud of all the achievements we've made to date. We can go to the next slide, please. First of all, it is a 3-station, 1.6-mile, elevated, automated transit system. It's not it's very similar to what you're seeing right now being built at LAX. And for all of you guys who may not know what I did prior to becoming a consultant to the city, I used to be the deputy over the environmental programs group at the Los Angeles World Airports. And we were responsible in that job, I was responsible to having that connection from LAX to Metro. So it's a very similar program that we're doing here, and we're doing it with Metro as our partner. So it would have 3 stations, again, one at Market Street in Florence, one at Prairie. We do already own the real estate right across the street from the Kia Forum, and then one across the street at Hardy Street in Prairie. And if we can go to the next slide. I think, you're too tiny to read this. You guys are getting handouts right now, but again, the benefits are not just about, getting cars off the road and thinking about, major events, but it is really about planning for the strategic growth, and also really thinking about this is a community that, again, in the shadow of LAX, under the flight path, it is a long time that you start seeing air quality and pollution reduction projects. And so again, that's what this project is all about. If we can go to the next slide. So let me tell you about the progress. First of all, we're committed to do outreach and come here every town hall and do community meetings, but we are also going to be at the Black History Festival, and we'll have a booth, and we'll be able to answer questions if you have any particular questions. We have worked with Metro to establish a joint powers authority, and it is that authority, again, that partners with Metro and the county and the city that's going to be the entity that will be responsible for making sure it is constructed, it is operated and maintained, and again, it's because of that expertise that Metro has in building transit that we really joined together with them. We have gotten to date about $1.9 billion. Just recently, we put the news out that the federal government put is into this next round, and we have their commitment to fund over 50% of the project, over $1 billion, which is a huge statement. We're about to find out in the next couple weeks if we're going to get another grant, and we did apply. We're very competitive for another $160 million, and fingers crossed that we get that as well. We are working with our South Bay Council of Governments. Tomorrow night we'll be with them, and they just approved at the committee another $16.3 million. I'm throwing out all these numbers for you so you could see everybody locally, at the state level and at the federal level, everybody is invested in this success here. And I just wanted to let you know we're on the right path, and we're going to take it home. We have our live procurement out, and we can go maybe to the next slide. I can show you. We have 3 bidder teams that are competing for this project. Everybody is still in the game. Bids are going to be due in May. We've done a lot of one-on-one meetings with these folks to really understand, how we can make sure they understand the requirements that the city has, work to make sure construction impacts are mitigated, really work to make sure that when we get their proposals in, that these are proposals that we can afford. They understand how important it is to do community outreach during construction, and and how the design, look, and feel are of a critical importance for this project. So just want you to know, we have 3 different teams. We have a lot of competition, and keeping that competition alive is really important to us so that we get, again, really, really great bids. The next thing I'll tell you is, if you can go to the next slide, please, is this just gives you a sense of, I just said I threw out a lot of dollars. Who's investing in this? To date, the city has not spent $1 on this project. It has come from grants. We had our first grant from the state. That's we got $500 million commitment from the state of California. We have, again, federal earmarks. The late Senator Feinstein, she made sure $5 million. I know Senator Padilla also put another $5 million. Our Secretary Buttigieg, they allowed us to get another $15 million. So I just want to have you see the flavor of where all this money is coming from. And it's because when we apply and we show what this project can do, how it increases transit ridership, not just within the city, but on the metro line itself. The Crenshaw line is anticipated to see their ridership double from what it is today because of this project, which is a huge thing that we want to make sure the Crenshaw line is successful. So with all of that, this just gives you the flavor of all the different grants that we have seen get awarded, and people believe in this project. And they know that the community believes in this project because when we present the applications, we share all the support letters that we got from stakeholders across the board. So a big one is coming in the next couple weeks. I'm lighting candles at the church, every church I go by. So we'll let you know what happens. And again, I think once we get that, I know that we're going to take this project home. Go to the next slide. So what we want to make sure we do is we do this in a way that doesn't just address traffic, but it also helps create really good jobs. So we have a partnership with the building trades. We just spoke to them this week, actually, and we asked them to revitalize apprenticeship readiness program. They actually had, and I meant to tell you this, they actually had a pilot program that they were running last year with the Inglewood High School. And they did it at Morningside. And we said, what is it going to take to start it again? And, can we help fund that? Because I think they ran out of funding, which is why it didn't continue. And we're going to do that. He has a meeting, actually, with the Inglewood Unified. I was hoping to see him today. I apologize that he wasn't here. But we're going to connect. They're going to meet on the 27th. And we're going to try to revitalize apprenticeship readiness program so folks in this community and our youth can take advantage of the job opportunities. My colleague and I, we also helped LA Metro do a program called the Seed School. It's on Vermont and Manchester. That's an transportation infrastructure boarding school for youth. And we're going to see if we can take their their program that they're launching right now and do a satellite program here in Inglewood. So I just want you to get the flavor of the commitment we have, because it's not just about, again, thinking about the long-term improving quality of life and dealing with traffic, but doing it in the way that really creates really lasting job opportunities. Just as you've seen Intuit Dome and SoFi Stadium, this project can continue that legacy here. So just wanted to let you know, we have a ton of commitments for local hire, disadvantaged businesses. We're doing all kinds of outreach for women-owned, minority-owned. I saw there was veteran-owned. I just wanted, all of that is going to be requirements of the contract. And it's not just about construction, but it's also about the operations. So I just to make sure you know, those are contractually required, and people will be scored on their ability to show how they're doing in this field. So go to the next slide. Just wanted you to know, again, this is an area where, unfortunately, air quality is it could be improved. We looked at, between the 405 and the 105 intersections are one of the busiest in the country, let alone, again, this community under the flight path at LAX. And so this, really trying to remove the cars has this lasting environmental impact, and it's shown in all of our grant applications and validated. Go to the next slide. think the other thing I'd like to make sure you know is that we have a lot of interest in revitalizing the downtown area. As Chris Jackson is talking about people that are investing in this community with housing and mixed use, and we're also looking at how can this project be done in a way that revitalizes Market Street. We have a $9 million grant that we got from the state senator Tina McKinnon, and we also got another grant from Senator Bradford. So there's for streetscape and tenant facade improvements. So we just put out a solicitation. We're going to talk to all the property owners on Market Street. We're going to figure out how to help those storefronts. Yes, there are some businesses that need to be relocated. We know about that. And again, we protected the Vons. No one's doing anything to the Vons. But there's small businesses that need to be relocated. We have an outreach team ready to work with every single one of those small businesses and find them homes. And it would be a really win-win to look at the vacancies on Market Street and repopulate it with thriving businesses. So I just want to let you know that we're not doing this without thinking about how to create win-win-wins across the board. And so that's a program that's underway. And lastly, let's talk about public art. We will have a public art program as part of the Inglewood Transit Connector. Again, you see the art at Hollywood Park. You're going to see the art at the Intuit Dome. But we're also going to have local public art as part of the Transit Connector, so to enhance the design and aesthetic feel of it. So what we've done right now is we'll hire a lead artist, and then we'll work to find out a selected developers to refine all the opportunities for public art. We're going to have a public art plan included in their project, in their bid requirements. Once we understand what those opportunities are, we'll come back out and work with our local art community to see how they can be incorporated into this. So it's across the board, just trying to think about this in a way that, again, really reflects the local community's desires and their culture and art. So thank you.
I don't know if we have any questions. I know we're running late, running a little bit behind. I think you're off the hook, Lisa. Thank you. Okay, so thank you all so much for staying here. Give yourselves a round of applause for staying here and getting the information. Really quick, this is how you can stay connected with me and my office. I am trying my best to get information out to our seniors, to our other residents that maybe might not come to all of the events, and let them know that I'm here. I want to see them at our town halls, at our Women Rock events, the Music Fest. So if you can, please share this information with your network of Inglewood residents. Go to your neighbors next door and say, hey, I went to the council members' town hall. It was great. The video will be available on my web page, so you can have them just check it out anytime they feel free. So with that said, I appreciate you all. I hope you enjoyed the information. I want to thank all of the presenters tonight, and you guys be safe getting home. Thank you again for attending.